I work for Ildis. She runs the inn. You should head on inside. Ildis or Schooley can take care of you.
Ah, a visitor. Old Golden Inn has hundreds of years of history, friend. How
You hire me, and you hire the best. If you got the boon, put it up, and you'll have the fiercest warrior in all of Skyrim. What does it look like? I'm a sellsword. You hiring? I grew up in an orc stronghold. That good enough for you? I don't take coin. I just have one rule. I keep what I kill. If that works for you, then you have my steel. Yeah, well, I was planning on staying in Rorikstead. A place like that got people going east and west. Except there was already a sellsword there. Some guy by the name of Killer or Slaughter or something. Guy with a nickname like that must have slain hundreds, no, thousands of men. Where I come from, people don't call you Killer unless you have a reputation for, you know, killing people. Well, you asked me a question, and I answered it. Besides, it's not like you can just go to Rorikstead in the blink of an eye. Kynesgrove, little town in Eastmarch. You've probably never heard of it, but it's practically an Ulfric's kitchen. Maybe because I'm not stupid. You see, these mercs take a job for 500 septims flat, just because that's the way it's always been. Some of these mammoth brains even do a second job on the house. Beats me. Whenever I ask why, they tell me to shut my apple pie hole. It's 500 gold because that's the way it's always been. Seems to me that's the stupidest reason I ever heard in my entire life. And I knew Chief Yamar's, so I've heard some stupid things come out of an orc's mouth. No, I keep what I kill. You can have whatever other treasure you can get your hands on. That's the deal. Although I don't plan on keeping everything, mind you, just the valuable stuff. Then you shouldn't have a problem hiring me. But I'm willing to take that gamble. What? You saying someone can't grow up in two different places? I spent my childhood in Kynesgrove, and when I was big enough, I went down to Largusburg to train. At first, I wasn't sure if they'd take me. They asked me to brawl this real skinny female named Ugor. With the broomstick she called arms, I thought she was a maid. The egg was on my face when she knocked me from Frostfall to Sun's Dusk. They respected my will, though. Kept getting up and asking for seconds. Long story short, they took me in, trained me, made me the warrior I am. Better to ask how it's not. Go ahead, ask me. Well, they both got people living in it. That's pretty much it. Alright. If you want the truth, I didn't go to Largusburg out of choice. My father forced me to. He didn't want me to grow up some milk drinker like him, and he started getting this idea in his head that the orc way was the only way. After everything my mother did to get our family out of that backwards mess, he goes and screws it all up. That's one way of putting it. I say he was obsessed. Like he lost a part of his heritage by growing up a farmer. You can almost tell how embarrassed he was when some orc sellsword came by the inn. Or even worse, someone from the stronghold. Actually, almost isn't the right word. It was written all over his face. The shame. At first he tried to make himself a warrior. Spent all our savings on blunted swords and worthless piece of armor. Eventually, he realized he was better off putting his energy into me. But the Stormcloaks aren't exactly opening doors to those who aren't their kind. Orcs don't exactly live long lives, and he was running out of time. So he drops me off in that cursed stronghold like some piece of scrap meat for the hounds. My mother was a proud woman, and she wasn't gonna abide by their stupid traditions. She was nobody's third wife. Only the chief wasn't the type who takes no for an answer. Got brains as thick as Charis shells, these stronghold orcs. Which wouldn't be so bad if they didn't have the morals of a Charis too. She ran. Took off the night before her wedding. Had a cousin who stood guard and was willing to die for her. Probably did. After that, she settled down in Kynesgrove. That's where she met my father, one of the orcs who worked the farms. She died giving birth to her first child. Me. Yamars? Yeah, I don't know if he was chief when Mother left, but if he was anything like that coward, I can see why she did. That poor fool didn't even bother to stop me as I walked out of the front gate. He was too scared I'd actually fight back. Yeah, I stepped on a worm the other day. You don't see me bragging about it. But you did the tribe a favor all the same. The best place you'll never see. You got all the convenience of the city with none of the hassle. You got the ocean to the east, waterfalls to the west, and hot springs to the south. I tell you, soaking in those pools is better than any healing spell. So? You're not exactly sitting in my lap, but I can still see your nose hairs could use a trim. What? Be serious. Uh-huh. You hire me, and you hire the best. Yeah, there is. There's something that's been bothering me for some time now. It's kind of embarrassing to ask, though. Well, I guess it's better to ask a stranger. So I've noticed there's this thing the humans and elves do when they press their lips together. Usually with someone they like. Is that what it's called? Well, in any case, I was wondering what that was like. Well, that's the thing. Orcs have these tusks, and, well, it's just not possible. Not the way the humans do it. I was hoping you could describe it to me, or at least knew someone who described it to you. Sounds like you read that in a book somewhere. I'll ask someone with a little more real-life experience. Yeah, there is. So I've noticed there's this thing that... Is that what it's called? No, you fungus licker. I'm no Debellan whore. I was just curious is all. Seeing that I can't exactly do the same. Not with these tusks in the way. I was just hoping you could tell me what it's like. Or at least knew someone who told you. Sounds boring the way you describe it. Maybe you're doing it wrong. Lead on then. My mace hand's getting twitchy.
If you drink too much, you're out. No drunks. Until
You think that ghost is coming back? It seems to have vanished. Yeah,
Tidings, Sirrah. My name is Asteria, a traveling bard on her way to Markarth. If you would like to hear a song, do not hesitate to make a request. I require no coin or patronage for my services. All I ask in return is the following favor. Should my verse please you, then I would be most gracious if you spread word of my song to the citizens of the Reach. I have played in provinces and castles across Tamriel, but I have yet to perform in front of a Jarl, as Skyrim was home to many renowned bards of legend. It is my hope that I may walk in their footsteps and pay tribute to their memory. I hail from Cyrodiil, but I've plied my trade in Hammerfell and High Rock, and have tales to tell from each. Certainly. For a fortnight, I had stayed outside the halls of Skingrad, in hopes of obtaining an audience with the Count. After many attempts, I decided to head west, on the Gold Road to Gavach, passing through the tomato fields that quilted the land outside the gate. It was then that my eyes set upon a frail old man, weeping at the base of a tree. He had lost his sister to vampirism, and had walked all of Cyrodiil retrieving the ingredients for her cure. Yet it came at a terrible cost. From life came death, and from hope bloomed sorrow. She died less than 10 days after she was cured. For vampirism was the cure for time, and time is the deadliest disease of all. Not at the Bard's College, if that's what you're implying. I'm very much a bard, however, or I wouldn't advertise my services as such. If my skill were lacking, you would discover that soon enough. A sword maiden, for instance, could not profess her skill in battle and then show up to the arena with her armor on backwards. Nor can I claim to be a bard if my loot collects more dust than coin. Even here in Old Hroldan, there's always someone with a story. A lost loved one, a new job, a family reunion, a long goodbye. And whether it's good, bad, or sad, a story always needs a tune. They say there are many roads to wisdom, but not all of them are interesting. Bards are quite territorial, and there are many in Markarth who already call the Silver Blood Inn their home. In Old Hroldan, I can ply my trade without having to contend for the floor. There's also the advantage of novelty. Just as a meal is most delicious when one's hunger is at its peak, the emotion of a song is best felt by those with virgin ears. Although I must confess, I do like the atmosphere of a traditional Nord inn. I love warm beds and homely smells, and also jewels, although I suppose one of those three has nothing to do with Old Hroldan. I hail from Cyrodiil, but as you wish. It was not but a season ago, before I came to Skyrim, in the city of Elenher. There, I met a couple, hiding out in an old shack, tucked between a canopy of trees. 2 women, who fought on the field and fell for each other. A Thalmor Justicar, and an Alakir warrior. They knew their lives were short. They knew their story would end in tragedy. So, they asked me to tell their tale, so that it would not be forgotten. It's not a fairy tale by any means, nor is their love the kind we can easily digest. They betrayed their homes, their kings, and their gods, so that they could stay true to their hearts. I hail from Cyrodiil, of course. It all began when I joined a group of troubadours who traveled from port to port across Iliac Bay. We aimed to sail from the docks of Menevia all the way to Bettany, the tiny island that serves as the period to High Rock's western peninsula. 3 days into our journey, and our spirits were high, and our bodies drunk in wine and cheer. It all changed on the 4th. It was the 18th of Morning Star, that ancient day when the spirits wake from their wintry slumber, as they have for centuries since time began. Only what rose from the seas that day was no spirit. A serpentine figure, half a league in length, black as the void, with scales that glistened like a soul gem, hunting a flock of whales. The captain wasted no time turning the galleon around. Behind us, the ocean bubbled with venom as it sunk its fangs into its prey. Some say it was a water dragon. Others contend it was a kraken. And some will say it wasn't wine we drank, but skooma. I hail from Cyrodiil, but I've plied my trade in Hammerfell. I am but a humble bard, and know nothing of either. Yet as a bard I can craft you a tale. This story begins in a Dwemer city, ruled not by kings, chieftains, or jarls, but by the people, so that no mortal may rule over another. However, where there is no throne, a mine owner seeks to build one, smelted from ore wrought by slaves. Slaves to debt, and slaves to a mistake, as there is no abolition for criminals and the poor. The mine owner sits on his gilded throne, mouth stuffed with pheasants and chin dripping with wine, when news comes by courier of death and tragedy. His wife was killed in a horrible accident. She had slipped off a ledge and crushed her head on the stone below. The funeral lasted all through the night, and the coffin laid to rest. Then the bard stood by the mine owner and sung her solemn dirge. Men wiped their eyes and women fell in their arms. The mine owner, however, remained silent, with but a single red smile on his neck. You asked for a tale about thieves, ᵯᴑᴆ, not assassins. The mine owner, like most wealthy men, fancied wearing amulets and jewels. The thin red line was an imprint from an amulet, one set with a valuable jewel, so valuable that the mine owner only saw fit to remove it from his safe on 2 occasions. The day he wed his wife, and the day death made them part. I hail from Cyrodiil, but I've plied my trade in Hammerfell and High Rock, and have tales to tell from each. That would be a mistake, ᵯᴑᴆ. A bard can tell 1,000 tales, each more fascinating than the last, but her own life is not one of them.
All of a sudden, the ghost disappeared. What happened to it?
How can I help you? As you wish. What would you like me to play? An unusual request, to say the least. Are you by chance from the Gold Coast? Although it is not a well-known tune even there. However, you're in luck. As I hail from Cyrodiil, I am well versed in songs of all varieties, and songs of melancholy are my specialty. Waves touch the coast, harbored in twilight's blue. From dawn came the sunlight, and with dusk it fades from our view. Calm embraces the sky, while storms rage in our hearts. For honor, glory, and love, from Anvil we do depart. The fire lights the path, and the salt it sprays in our eyes. But warriors born of stone, they are never afraid to die. Bells on the docks, they cry out for the mortal day. And winds sing the dirt for the words we never could say. And sails fly at half-mast in the color of evening's hue. And tears break the silence for the children we almost knew. When dawn kissed the ocean, from the golden light came our birth. And when dusk falls on the harbor, to the golden shores we will return. It's the very same. From whom, may I ask, did you hear the tale? As you should, for I already gave you my name and my vocation. If you mean to insinuate that I'm a certain raven-haired thief, then you will not be the first. We do share a number of similar traits. For that reason, I keep the certificate of my birth on my person. It states that I was born Asteria of Bravil, under the birth sign of the ritual. It is well known that the Raven of Anvil was born on the darkest month of the evening star, under the birth sign of the thief. And while we are not the same woman, I must admit, I have used her infamy to my advantage, both as a bard and a lady. Why, yes. Besides, if I were truly the Raven of Anvil, why play the song? Why not cover my hair with a cloth? You're persistent and clever. I like that. All right, clever boy. I will say this and nothing more. There was once a loyal and dedicated soldier who held beside him a great big shield. For king and country he raised it high, shielding himself from arrow and sword, And when his king razed the land and raped its people, he used it to shield his eyes. She may. A bard hears many rumors on the road, some of which are quite valuable to those who work in the shadows. To the left of the entrance to Markarth, you will find a storeroom, with a workbench and a man. A guard by the name of Lundvar. Blood stains his eyes, and mead frosts his breath. He is short for a Nord, yet nothing short of an honorable one. What he does not know is he has been betrayed. When you tell him this, his lips will be as loose as his throat is wet. He knows the location of a ledger, one that names the greatest bards in all of Skyrim. I would pay good coin to have my name atop it. That is a heavy accusation, ᵯᴑᴆ. Rumors are but ghosts, and it's best we don't pay them any heed. But I'll allow it this one time, if you do as I ask. Take this letter to the guardsman. When you have gained his trust, you will ask him a favor. To write my name on a ledger of famous bards. Nothing more. As for your payment, I will give you half of it now. When my name is on that list, you'll receive the rest. Greetings. How can I help you? It began as a song of goodbyes, and so it ended. The first was written by a wife, whose soldier husband left for war. The second goodbye was that of a widowed husband, one who chose his rulers over the gods. The third belongs to their daughter, who mourns the life of her mother and the death of her innocence. Until next time. How can... help you? How can I help you?
I'm in. Let's make sure to spend more time
arrow to the knee. Ha! My brother took 10 arrows to the knee. Pardon me, stranger. Will you help me raise a flagon for my dear departed brother? May he find peace in Sovngarde. No need to be sorry, lad. These are happy times. And he's in a better place, drinking far better mead than we could ever imagine. Bravely, as only he could, a group of forsworn stragglers, covered by darkness, made a daring attack at the front gate. My brother caught sight of them immediately, and ran up the steps to fire the mechanical bow. Only, some foolish sod must have forgot to grease it or something, because the lever was jammed. Worse yet, the guard manning the tower was fast asleep, and didn't sound the horn. My brother would have to defend the city gates by himself. He may have died, but I'm proud to say he took 3 of those savages and a Briarheart with him. He put the fear of Talos in the rest of those stragglers. Let them know that every Reachman was worth a dozen of those forsworn bastards. The rest of the wild folk fled into the night. Who knows what would have happened had they breached the gate? Aye, it was a bit peculiar given how sneaky they usually are. But ᵯᴑᴆᴆ assured me it all happened as they said. He was on duty that night as well. Ungver told him to run into the city and wake the guard when a horn didn't sound. By the time he returned, the forsworn raiders had left, and my brother had fallen. The guard manning the tower? Arrow to the throat. Who knows how many more would have died that day if Ungver wasn't there to save them? My brother died a hero, a savior of the Reach. Anyone who says otherwise, feel free to raise your hand and punch yourself in the face. I trust him with my life, and vouch for his words with my own. ᵯᴑᴆᴆ was more than a watch brother to me and Ungver. He was our best friend. We even made him an honorary member of the family. Thick as thieves, the 3 of us, ever since childhood. I'd sooner believe Tongvor craps silver before I'd believe ᵯᴑᴆᴆ is a liar. I wear it with pride, stranger, and I won't ever change my colors. I don't care who wins the war. I don't care if a damn forsworn sits on the throne. This is the uniform my brother wore, and this is the uniform I'll wear when I meet him in Sovngarde. He was a member of the city guard here in Markarth. Worked the night watch out by the entrance. Wasn't like them lazy gargoyles who just sleep through their shift and hope that Madanak isn't cooking them breakfast in the morning. No, he stood at his post every night like a bloody draugr, and only when the sun finally crawled over the mountains would he sheathe his sword. Best damn soldier in the Reach. Best man in all of Skyrim. I told him as much myself. Called him everything from a bloodsucker to a cave bat. I would have bolted his chair to the ceiling too, if it weren't for all this stone. Yet, gracious as he was, he took it all in stride. A bloody priest he was. Gods bless his memory.
That's a good question. The captain of the guard was in here just a moment ago, asking the same thing. To be honest, I've spent so much time alone, I never noticed he was missing. Maybe he took a leave of absence. Old Rolden? Shore's beard. Why would he be there? That place is miles from anything. This is from Wuthmar? He says my brother was betrayed by the city guard. This can't be. A Nord would never betray his own watch brother. How dare you! You know as well as I that a Nord will die as a beggar, eating a pile of his own waste before he soils himself with blood money.
And yet, for some reason, when I read this letter, my gut tells me its words ring true.
What has the world come to when a man can't even trust a fellow Nord? But if there's corruption in our city, we need to root it out. I owe it to my brother to do so. I don't know why you brought me this letter, but I thank you. I hope Wuthmar finds peace wherever he is. Sure, but if you think I will sully myself to get revenge, I'm sorry, but I won't. The ones who killed my brother will rot in cinder mine until the end of days, but it will be the Jarl who gives the sentence. I swore an oath to protect the city and the law, and I will die 1,000 deaths before I break it. Somewhere in Sovngarde, my brother is nodding his head, because if it were me who died, he would say the same. I see. So she wants to perform for the Jarl, and thinks I will write her name in Ingvar's ledger. I appreciate what she's done, but that would not be fair to the other bards. I am sorry, but you must tell her no. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to think about what I'm going to say to the captain.
Make it quick. I'm a bit embarrassed to say it, but it was a mud crab. Thing jumped out of nowhere and tried to snatch it, like a thief swiping a pearl. Bless my brother's heart. When he found out, he almost ripped out his own eye just so we'd match. Of course, he wouldn't have had to if I hadn't taken pity on that crazy chef and his worthless potions. I drank 4 or 5 of them, and nary felt a thing. When my eye kept bleeding, I set to oblivion with it, and poured it over my eye. Might have made it worse. By Ysmir's beard, it felt like a bloody beehive was milling around in my eye, the way it stung, and smelled like honey. I've got to hand it to that chef, though. Here I was, about to lose my eye, and half of me was thinking about how I wanted another taste. Tell that to my watch brothers. But you're right. If any of them raises a stink, I'll just beat them to a pulp. The only bigger shame than a man who was bested by a mud crab is losing to that man in a brawl. Farewell.
An orc follows to the death. Just don't make a habit of inviting it. I'm tired of figuring out where to go next. Grow a spine and leave.
I'm gonna be a silversmith one day, like my mother and father.
Blood and silver, friend. Blood and silver.
If you drink too much, you're out. No drunks.
Visitor. Old Rolden Inn has hundreds of years of history, friend.
Change the linens myself. They're fresh.
How can I help you? Well met, ᵯᴑᴆ. I see. Well, that was poor judgment on your part. If the singer notices the list went missing, all my plans would be for naught. You may be right, but it was still foolish to take that chance. Wait, how much of a brute is the singer? He doesn't write like a brute. In fact, it's the other way around. His handwriting is so flowery, it's practically illegible. Which means you couldn't just write the name in. Damn college bards and their fancy script. This bloody fetcher must be completely full of himself. Oh my, ᵯᴑᴆ. Whatever do you mean? Is that what you were expecting? Well, forget it. We don't have time for pretenses. This journal needs to be back in Yngvar's pocket before he tries to stroke himself and accidentally finds it missing. But where am I going to find a forger that isn't loyal to the Silverbloods? There was an elf here the other day, wearing fake college robes. He said he had a relative near Windhelm. See if you can find him. It's as I told you. He's a murderer. There really isn't much more I care to say. Everything I told you was true. I never would have lasted this long if it wasn't. Think of it this way. You can dress a beggar in fine furs and drape amulets around his neck. But as soon as the stupid fetcher opens his mouth, he'd be completely undressed. That's what a lie is. Layers upon layers that can all fall apart with a single truth. So I don't lie. I tell it to you straight. Only I dress my words in the bard's tongue. So that you, ᵯᴑᴆ, will find the kindness to grant favor to my cause. Even if you know not what I seek. Farewell.
If you drink too much, you're Change the linens myself. They're fresh.
Yes? Him? Oh no, he's a bit daft when it comes to writing. Besides, he's too busy making curved swords. But I do know an Argonian who does excellent forgeries. I once asked him to make a Jarl's decree that pies were a type of vegetable. Problem is, I heard he ran into a bit of trouble stitching together guard uniforms for a group of bandits. Well, apparently they weren't good enough to trick some mad dark elf who hunts lawbreakers. So the bandits decided to take it out on my poor friend. Chances are he isn't alive, or in one piece, but we could try and rescue what's left of him. Oh, don't say his name out loud. If you say it 3 times, he'll visit you in your nightmares and stick a dagger up your nose or something.
The city folk still treat me like some backward stronghold orc. For the last time, I'm not a blacksmith, and I don't have an opinion on your steel.
No, I imagine it's going to hurt either way, at least for him. Bandits aren't the gentlest of forest creatures. We could do that. Or we could go to Knife Point Ridge. The bandits he was dealing with kind of live there. Your choice, though.
I hope someday we'll get to know each other better. Sometimes the difference between life and death is a split.
I asked Valiant to have the bodies.
I own Hollyfrost Farm outside the city.
Guess that's the last of them.
Come on, military, let's dance.
That boss. Victory is ours. I've always wanted to say that.
What would a sellsword do if the divines hadn't invented bandits? Probably have to sell something else entirely.
Hello.
All over now. Good riddance, I... Alright, that's one less thing to worry about.
Look, I didn't tell them anything. I'm just a passing peddler. I don't even know why they're keeping me alive.
Oh, come on, Sunken Roots. You would break the moment they threatened to pluck a feather.
Rumarin, what are you doing here?
What does it look like, saving your scaly tail?
And for this I should be grateful? You're half the reason I'm in here. Or have you forgotten the fake decree I made for you?
Oh, right. I still haven't paid you for that, have I?
That's right. And if you paid on time, I wouldn't have to take jobs like this.
Fine. If you're going to be such a sod about it, we'll just let you rot in there.
No, please. Take me with you. Your companion is rotten, but you are a sensible, decent person. Please, you must help me. If he wanted to see me safe, he would have paid up on his debt. But I always pay on time, and many times in advance. If you take me to a cabin where my things are kept, I can forge you a decree that will allow you to collect taxes, or anything of the sort. They always blindfold me when they move me back and forth, but I know it isn't very far from here. Yes, I can do that. It will be as if this person penned it with his own hand. In fact, if he's not a member of the court, I don't even need a seal. Just lead the way.
Alright then. Good teamwork.
Yeah? Just remember our bargain. Drag me to a stronghold, I roll your head. bandit tried to
Now,
hire me
where
once.
is my satchel?
Thought I'd treat him like a sheep.
There it is. I'm sure my tools are still inside. Nobody ever checks the secret compartment.
Well, it isn't a secret now, is it? Mental note. Check for secret compartments.
You're as insufferable as ever, ᵯᴑᴆᴆᴇᴆ.
Thank you. I'd hate to think I was slipping.
In any event, I will forge this document as promised. Looking at this list, we want to mirror this bard's irreverence. So, we don't want to boast about Asteria's voice too much. No offense, but what if she isn't very good? I think, and this is just my opinion, but we ought to maybe appeal to other things, like cost and availability.
You did say she plays primarily an old Hroldan, right? And this journal is from a bard in Markarth. Sounds like a cheap neighborly bard to me.
Alright, there we have it. A perfect forgery. Now, if you two are on your way to Markarth, I'll be headed in the other direction. Kynesgrove sounds like the perfect watering hole for me. I don't want to get caught up in whatever it is you're planning. In fact, not to sound ungrateful, because you saved my life, but it's probably better if we pretend we never met, us being accomplices and all.
Sure, that works for me.
I was talking about your friend. You still... Alright, you win. I was a fool to think you would ever pay anyway.
Well, that should tie everything up in a neat little bow. You got your forgery, I got my debt erased, and Sunken Roots got his life back. It's your classical happy ending. Unless you're a bandit, then it went about as badly as one could expect. No, you already have someone. I don't want to be a third wheel.
Ah, a visitor. Old Hroldan Inn has hundreds of years of history, friend.
All right, I did some scouting, and it seems there's a bit of an upheaval with the guard. The Jarl doesn't seem to trust all of them. Or any of them, for that matter. He's hired a bunch of sellswords to guard his chamber. It also doesn't help that before he left, my bastard father sent letters to all the stewards, warning them about a possible theft. I don't know. Either way, there's more security around the Fetcher's safe than I anticipated. What about your end? I trust you were able to handle things? Good. We better head on over to Markarth then. If we're lucky, we'll catch him on the way.
Ah, an inn. Let's make sure to spend more time smashing heads and less time drinking ale.
If you drink too much... Change the linens myself. They're fresh.
I've been looking for you. Got something I'm supposed to deliver. Your hands only. Let's see here. Yeah, got this note. You've got friends in high places. Looks like that's it. Got to go.
This is it. A summons from the Jarl. It says I've been granted the privilege of playing before him. This is it. This snowback has the nerve to call me privileged? I can just picture the milk dribbling from his chin. Yeah, but it's his fault for staying that way. In any case, meet me at the Silverblood Inn. We need to discuss our plans. I'm sure you're eager to find out exactly what we'll be stealing from this privileged little fetcher.
What is it?
I'm gonna be a silversmith one day, like my...
Come on in.
Being an apprentice is great.
Has
I can
plenty of
see
strong
hammer.
drink and clean room. Forsworn rep. Sure thing. It's yours for a day. I'll show you to your room. Right this way.
Something on your mind?
Let me know if there's anything else you need.
Did the Nords build all this? It looks different from the other holds.
Well, I guess you're wondering what this is all about. First, the prize. There's a safe filled with jewels in the Jarl's bedchamber. That's all yours. Consider it the second half of my payment. But what I need is the document that's underneath. I'll provide the distraction. The court will be easy enough. Just a bunch of haughty nobles with ice spikes so far up their ass they piss snow. The mercs, though, they might not leave until the finale. But given the fame of the Raven of Anvil, when I play Dusk on Anvil Harbor, they'll all come. They always do. All you need to do is pick the lock before I finish my set. Take too long and you'll have to fight your way out. Now, the most important thing. Don't be late. You should arrive at 3 o'clock, but no later than 5. I'll time my performance to your arrival. It's not worth a bloody septum to anyone but me. So you'd be a horker's ass if you kept it for yourself. What do you want, a map? Look, it's not exactly the ᵯᴑᴆᴆ Museum. You'll have enough time to find it. Here, I've made myself mostly invisible. In the keep, the two of us will stand out like a wart on a countess's nose. That's why I'm getting an early start tomorrow. You shouldn't arrive until I get to the end of my set. That's when I'll draw the mercs. As many as it takes. When I see you enter the keep, I'll play Mogo's Mead. That'll be the signal that the next song is Dusk on Anvil Harbor. I always set up the sad tunes by playing that one first. It gets everybody up before I send them crashing down. Do you mean did it rain 7 days and 7 nights after I played? Gods no. The rest of it went pretty much as they say. When the Countess was appeased, the court fell asleep in their exhaustion. Who could blame them? The poor woman had kept them up for nearly a fortnight. As to why she favored my song, I don't know. There were bards with better voices, and bards who could play far more deftly than I. But I guess the Countess wasn't interested in any of that. All she wanted was a bard who understood her grief. Now that's enough talk. We'll meet back at Old Hrolden when it's all done. Get some rest. Tomorrow's a big day.
Staying safe, I hope.
Blood and silver, friend. Blood and silver.
Everything's all right.
An orc follows to the death. Just don't make a habit of inviting it. Fine. You get into trouble, I'll just follow the screaming.
So few pleasures in life as fine as your company.
Gods damn those Forsworn. So many dead.
What are you doing? There are so few pleasures in life as fine as your company.
Hands to yourself, sneak thief.
His ugly red head rolled around on the floor.
Excellent. Just like in the tales of old.
Your words do me honor, my Jarl. I will do my best not to betray them. For my next song, I will play a tavern favorite, Mogo's Mead. A song the commoners love, but even a Jarl can appreciate.
Oh, very much. That's some fine honey.
The Tholmor know how to deal with Talos worshippers.
Let me guess. You need a drink. Silver blood in.
Drink ye merry, drink ye thirsty, bring the crew and revel freely. On one thing we're all agreed, that Mogo made the finest mead. Mogo's mead, the only drink we'd ever need. Take a flask and take a seat, and
If you see any signs of Talos worship, it's your obligation to report them to me.
I thank you for your applause. Please, I am not deserving of such praise.
God might get nervous. A man approaches with his weapon drawn.
And I inform you that my next song will be my last. Nobles, thanes, housecarls, and of course, my Jarl, to be allowed to play here today has been an honor that mere words cannot express. I hope that this final song will properly convey my gratitude, for they say music is a language that transcends borders, politics, and station. Thus, I bring you this dirge from my birth home.
Caught a case of rock joint
A
once.
city near
Poor fella. Hangs
and just as the first anvils were used, so is the city of Marble. Thus, our cities are bound together in hardship, sadness, and strife. And so, I present to you Dusk on Anvil Harbor. Alas, it is with great regret that I inform you that my next song will be my last. Nobles, thanes, housecarls, and courtiers, my God, to be allowed to play here today has been an honor that mere words cannot express. I hope that this final song will convey my gratitude, for they say music is a language that transcends borders, and nations.
Be careful.
So is the city of Marble. Thus our cities are bound together in hardship, sadness, and strife. And so, I present to you Dusk on
The Tholmor know how to deal with Talos worshippers.
Stop making that face. I don't get what it means. About time.
I heard you were at the wedding of the Emperor's cousin. In Solitude. Gods, that must have been horrible.
Ah, a visitor. Old Rolden Inn has hundreds of
If
years
you drink
of
too much,
history.
you're out. No drunks.
Do you think that ghost is coming back? It seems to have vanished. Yeah, she was here, but she left. If you leave now, you can probably catch her. Until next time.
I'll be taking that, thank you very much. Didn't think I'd leave without getting that back, did you? Save the charm for milk drinkers. This was a business arrangement. A very profitable one, I hope. That's what I want them to think. If they train their eyes on my father, they'll never see the real mole reaching into their pockets. But if they do wise up, there will always be someone I can use, just as I used you. Now, if you'll excuse me, ᵯᴑᴆ, I must take my leave.
No lollygagging. Working hard gives a man reason for drinking hard. Well, that and putting up with a wife like mine.
Something on your mind? What is it? Just like all the others, another bloody draw. Him said his arm was tired from playing the lute all day, so he backed out and screamed for the guard. He also said his poem was only half finished or something, and that our bard duel wasn't over. At that point, I just tuned him out. Until next time.
Respect the law, and you'll have no trouble in Dragonbridge.
My cousin's out fighting dragons, and what do I get? Guard duty.
You must be lost. The tavern is down the road a piece.